so that I can do
Testing.
key-based tests to the VMs that I want whilst I'm back off. But at the moment, I'm extracting the work directory of each of those modules and control repo into the VM via that virtualbox file system. And then give that file apply.
So that sort of makes it dependent on what's available on the network.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What distro is it?
But
You know, like if you want
I
to be
can't tell from
totally
Yeah, it's Pop
audible
OS.
to do
Oh, is
demo
it?
for
Yeah.
Say orange
sure.
buttons.
But I guess the nice thing about having so I guess if you wanted to have a
okay.
service-based approach, you could say, here's a host
Isn't
pool
that
network
working?
which contains all my service VMs, so give it life or whatever, name server, DHCP server, whatever, which are available, you make those available to the VM.
I don't think that's the actual
Still
one.
uses that mechanism.
Do you have to get that shipped from the
but it's
US?
all within
Which one?
The laptop.
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
Yeah.
It's quite expensive.
A lot, yeah.
Is
I've
the
looked
US
at
Because
the
key
what do
layout
they
the
do?
same
They,
as Australian
typically
key
build
layout?
images.
Hi.
Is the
and then
US
just
key
labour
layout
and
the
up
same
them.
as Australia?
You know,
Yeah.
fully configured.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
definitely.
That's
Yeah.
typically how they do it.
I mean,
Demo.
worse
Yeah,
than
that's the
that,
same.
with,
Looks beefy.
Vagrant,
Is it heavy?
If you don't configure it right, you
It's
just say Vagrant up and it'll
just
go
a bit over
hey,
2
what are you
kilos,
looking
not
for?
that.
And then it'll just yank it down from
It's not
Is
that
it
heavy.
Data
Yeah,
Pro?
yeah.
Huh?
Is it Data Pro?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the only one I know.
I mean,
The
it's not saying
system
that I go
six
through
does.
each
It's
of the boot
oh,
programs
it's
line by
hex
line,
core
But-
to
No,
fast
what was it
CPU.
called?
And when you go,
It's the
when you shut them down, are they still available?
what's
If
it
you
called?
halt them, yes, they are still available.
So you can sort of go vagrant up, you build your network, then configure it, and then next time you want to demo
Stuff.
it,
Oh,
you
forget.
Yeah.
just start them up again.
Yeah. If you want to recover the space and do a Vagrant
It'll come to
destroy,
me.
bring them all down, tear out the network, and tear out the VMs,
Oryx.
destroy the disks. So,
Oxel Pro or something.
I think it's an Oryx.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Puppet mainly, but unfortunately we just switched over to Ansible. So, well, yeah, we had a working config and then the business decided to go elsewhere. So, like, okay, we're going somewhere else.
But we have
I thought you were
discovered,
commenting on the real comparative point in solution.
we have discovered some hidden, I suppose, benefits of Puppet versus Ansible.
Yeah, it was a bit chaotic last time, but
Oh, no, these are hidden. No. So, one of the, I mean, Puppet and Ansible are essentially chalk and cheese when it comes to the model for which they do their thing. So, with Puppet, you've got the agent that's running on the box.
yeah.
And you've got the high level model about what the agent's meant to do.
Documentation is not very good. Sorry,
Whereas
I'm working on
Ansible,
that.
you've got it running in a tower situation usually, and you're remotely connected to the target machine,
Because that's
using
the old
SSH,
bit, and that was
doing
really
stuff
nicely
there.
done.
Yeah, but it's more in the sense that what you're actually
Yes.
dealing with in Ansible are more fragments, because you've got individual commands for which you need to do all the testing,
But what
and
can I
then
do?
you can set up recipes to do what you need, that's fine.
Yes, yes.
But if you're more comfortable
That's
thinking,
what I do
you know,
too, yes.
alright, here's a whole
That's what
bunch
I'm
of
doing now, yes.
discrete commands that I
I'm
know how to
manually-
get
I'm
stuff
manually
done that I need to do.
In both directions.
Then Ansible is usually the tool that you reach for because that's how you think. Whereas if you say, okay, well I'm looking for
That was
machine
that
to be in
time
this particular
now.
state,
You see,
but I
when
don't
there's a
care how
DNS request,
it's
you look at all the DNS requests.
then
If it's for a banned
leave
site,
that
manuals it
minutia up to
to be
the Puppet agent to do its thing.
one of my sites will get blocked.
Yeah,
Right. And so, and that goes off to the
we're probably going to be
DNS.
doing without Puppet
The
install.
DNS answer
We can install
is
the
yes,
Ansible user, which
but the answer comes back with that
we say,
manual name.
you know,
And I have
Yeah,
to put the name
there are
back
also
to what
things
it was
like
because
the exchange of
although you could
certificates
go through
between
check
the host
DNS answer,
and
you don't do that.
the
They expect
Puppet
to get that
master.
coming back.
Gives you
That's how they ask about it.
a high degree of security around you are talking to the system that you believe you should be talking to. And that's, signed certificate, so there's a level of security there that's perhaps.
DNS query, packets get mangled on the
But
way there. and on the
Ansible
way
probably
back.
doesn't set it up for you, right?
And then
Well,
they-
yeah,
have to
you're
manually
going to have an
verify.
individual certificate for each host.
But for whatever reason,
You basically set it up how you want it, but you need that.
Typically, you have a common certificate. The thing about the puppet agent is that you have a signed certificate per individual host.
And it just kind of
At the same
Hey?
And it's just kind of a common signing authority, right?
Oh, it does, yeah.
I was thinking about
And after that, you can be very assured that what you're talking to
It's
is the
flexible enough that
system.
you would do it how you feel is best.
no, it's not. It's
The other
actually
thing is
forwarding the thing to a real
Signing
design.
thing that
authority,
we found out
or you
environment
could,
is
you
that
know,
In fact, it's
distribute it out.
we don't really have good controls over, like, if somebody,
But it still would be a whole,
if somebody asked
from
us,
a commercial point
what
of view, it's
host
going to be a
do you
whole
support?
separate
which
organization
list
that
of
has to
hosts
worry
support,
about
and they're like,
how am I going to
we
marry
don't
the
really
overlay
know
sex
because our central management staff.
There are some interesting things, this
So
like,
Puppet is great because we go,
if you have CyberArk or Clojure or something like that, you can then grab machine ID, and so it can manage the individual certificate per machine, and you run it as part of the Ansible thing, so it comes up and says, oh, who are you, goes on the certificate per
and up to date.
machine, you know, per
Whereas
host.
Puppet,
But typically,
once you've done the initial enroll,
you'll only be using
as
the
long as
money
the box
that's
keeps checking in regularly, it does that every half hour.
you know, and that's the Ansible user,
I do too, but it's
right? So if anybody ever gets
Malcolm want to come and sit here or something? What's going on?
they have
I think it's going to be
your whole
That's what seats we can go.
fleet.
Some more space.
I think you
Like
don't get
that,
to
they
sit
can do anything they
Oh, yeah,
like,
it's
like that.
there.
Whereas, yeah, you know, it's like it's different with,
Other key value pairs.
so there are, as I say,
Exactly.
What we did is we said,
inventory, you know, once you're registered, you've got a database that tells you all of your stuff. Whereas say.
You got anybody on?
We're still alive.
Like this client, you have to go through.
Yeah, I think so.
To generate, what host you want to talk to.
Who's been listening? Keith there and John?
Yeah, Keith has been on there.
Advantages.
Where's Bob?
A lot of people.
I don't know if Bob's on there.
We should text him. Say, Bob,
Majority of it, typically,
get Thailand back on the map.
Solaris 10,
Yeah,
Solaris 11.
Right. There were 7 people on there before, so that's good.
What's the time difference for Bob?
3 hours, I think, about that.
Is he in front of us or behind us?
Everybody's behind us. Australia's in the future, apart from Fiji and New
Oh yeah,
Zealand.
he's Thailand's above Perth time.
Yeah, it's about the first time's 3 hours behind.
And you just run that against the whole lot. It takes coding it up initially is possibly, you know,
You
quite
send an email out to
after
where
that, we
people
just
can get to see this.
Yeah, and this is a bit that I really want to
they were training in Australia as Puppet. Training in Australia grants.
But we,
And so we were like,
I mean,
okay, well,
we've been using it, so we're probably, you
So
know,
we've now had-
quite close to it, and we're just going into the Ansible world.
is Ansible cheaper?
Yeah.
Take a photo of it. That's what the-
Yeah.
Until
Everybody
they
here.
raise the prices because they've knocked out.
I think so.
Our information team
Oh, yeah.
essentially sold.
Ask them beforehand, Dad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
you run that.
It's certainly flavour of the month.
Windows.
Get it from that corner if you
I
want.
reckon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
Xbox
it's-
days.
Possibly
They'll all sit down in their spots soon.
developed at a time when working or, you know,
Christmas photo.
we had
Okay.
legacy systems.
Yeah, it's been proud.
It was more designed for a more dynamic environment. Rather than a legacy host environment. But we've got a legacy host environment, so it works well in that space. But if what you want to do is just go out and spin up VMs, or, you know,
How's the audio going out there, guys?
possibly
We had
Who's Puppet at work?
Ansible, like, well,
So it's sort of inherited what is
there's a
sort of
real
the
bespoke
right
native thing.
configuration going back a decade. So it's been hard to learn.
open source or
Using
enterprise.
SCCM, which they get bundled for free.
So it's been hard for me to learn Puppet.
So why wouldn't you stick with
Excuse me, everybody. Anybody got an objection
Oh,
to a
yeah,
group
yeah.
photo? Because this is a good crowd tonight. Anybody not meant to be here? It doesn't have any excuse. Yes? No?
No, go for it.
All right. We'll take it from here and try and get your win.
So I've tried playing around with both just to teach myself.
Can you just take panorama photos on that?
What is it? Just sort of get up and running.
Yeah,
Oh, just,
yeah.
oh,
Oh, yeah,
drive you,
there's-
I don't mean to drive you away.
Are we all smiling?
Yeah. Okay.
I can get a photo with you in it if you'd like.
Oh, I'm trying to get a flashlight. I don't have an excuse for being here. Are we ready? This one might flash with the light.
No.
There's too much
That
light
would
in
be
there.
a no.
Must be on automatic.
Yeah, is it on auto?
You don't need the technology. Unix is easy, cameras are. Yep.
Okay.
I'm just big,
That's pretty good.
Cool. I'll get a photo with you in it.
That's a couple people.
No, I'll get a photo with you in it.
It's not there.
There you go.
Can't do that. Right, okay. I didn't like
Another
mine.
one.
Another one, another one.
Smile left.
What are you meant to look like? I forgot the
Oh, you got the
Flash.
You can change it from the.
Oh yeah, because I rode my bike to work and then I rode my walk to
There's a flash subgroup A icon, and the flash icon. This is automatic, so it's easy for you in this way. And then another one.
Right. It's been a thing I've never actually done. So, always had someone else who did it by
What do we get? $5 a hit. How much do we charge?
Well, how much will it pay?
Has anyone ever done any config management with like networking gear? Like Ansible or something?
haven't, but I really want to.
Yeah.
I've done Ansible stuff.
With like Cisco,
Oh, not with.
like actual like
Like-
off the shelf networking gear or?
Oh, not networking. Yeah, no.
I wish we could say we are, but one of the use cases for deployment in our workspace is actually to do network configuration using Ansible. But I can't see what it's like.
It's something we're sort of like thinking about doing, but it's one of those like borderline worth of things. And because the amount of stuff you have to there's no one in the team has any Ansible knowledge at all,
Yeah.
so
But how are you,
You know, approximately
are you
where
doing
it's
any
sitting,
network
roughly.
Yeah.
device
I need to
automation?
look through the screen to see if I sit there, I can't see it.
and so
Okay,
over
you
the
want to
years
sit
there's been like 100 switches that people have been doing changes here and there, and now we're replacing them all at once. So it seems like a perfect time to do that
Well, for all managed, yeah.
to manage it. But yeah, it's like I guess the guy who's doing it is trying to decide whether or not it's actually going to be worth it.
I know that in my previous workplace they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were networks at Monash,
Okay.
and they have Ansible for all their updating of networks.
It seems like something that's great when you've got like once it's up, it's great.
Yeah,
But
see what
getting
they
it
did was
there.
they kind of like just made the intern do it all. They're like, it's only you know Ansible into it.
Well, I don't understand it. I mean, if you've got a network out there already, Ansible is one thing where you can say, alright, I'm going to grab the config out of this particular switch and add it to my repository. And you can take them one at a time. You don't have to do a whole bolus of code.
No, I've got to plug in the HDMI before I put
It
this
depends
in.
on, are you gonna get power or are you gonna do the open
Is that the
source
HDMI
way?
cable
It
there?
would be the whole community
That's
way,
right.
which may
Right.
to some extent.
I'd have to check, see what modules are
Plug this
available
in.
to,
Because
um.
if I don't, if it's not plugged in when it
yeah.
boots, it doesn't work.
I don't know what the
Yeah,
difference
I've got similar problems with different
Like,
box.
Oh, I see.
you know, like Kraken
that's
my
what we are.
experience with Puppet
Well, you've got to look at the screen.
It's also
Oh, I see.
and Puppet Enterprise paid for.
So what's the difference on that?
Well, in this particular case,
That one.
Puppet now
I think.
the agent is essentially
There we are. Is it?
open source version, right? And you get extra reporting and some other abilities with the Puppet Enterprise infrastructure. Whether Ansible follows the same model, I don't know.
It won't get a signal yet.
It'd be
It will
interesting to
next.
find out what modules
I
are
think it's better
available
to turn it off
to
rather than leave it.
There we are.
standard.
There we
Red
are.
Hat subscribers versus what are.
I think I was doing a bit, but I had a quick look. And I think that the sort of Cisco is quite well supported, but kind of nothing else.
Yeah, once
Like,
X starts, it's
everything else is just
just
all
off in around it, so I can't see
which
what's here is not
could be
what's
good,
there.
but
Oh, right, you can't change that with.
not mixed it up. It's like
Right.
I haven't been able to yet. It's something I can probably work on.
Remain.
But
X Rando.
hardly
Yes, it
anything.
should.
X Rando,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
it should be able to do it.
All of them.
I'm not sure.
But in this
I'll have to.
particular
I use X Rando to change the resolutions there.
I think he's going with
That's
Dell.
all I've figured out how to
Dell,
do yet.
Dell
So.
switch.
There's a GUI program that allows you to play around with settings and it tells you what X Rando to type.
Well, sometimes it
Oh, yeah.
very
And you can just
generic.
move the
You
screens
use
around and
generic
put the
modules
configuration
and
how
they'll
you want
work,
it.
you know.
Ah.
A
But I think
Randa, I think it's
on
called.
that
Oh.
level of things, it's basically
Right.
it literally
I'll have to
just
look for
pumps
that.
commands in. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything other
pretty
than
good.
that. And so if there's a slight change in syntax or something like that, that's all Windows itself.
Can you see the feed, Danny?
That's far too small. Yes, don't worry about that.
Waiting for my
What
email
distro are
to
you
load
using
on
then,
this terrible computer.
Oh,
I posted it on IRC too, but it's good.
Yeah. Terrible computer.
Ah.
Wait, when did you post it?
Yeah, a while back.
Yeah, please really.
oh, come on. Oh, I'm using mouse pad. Oh, here
Just
we go.
realised, are you running Pop OS?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you finding it? I've heard lots of things about it, and I'm like,
So it's alright. I mean, I don't use much of the OS part of it. It's mainly staying Emacs
Oh.
in a browser.
Oh, I got this plugged in.
I use i3 at
Oh,
work.
yeah,
but,
okay.
would rather put i3 on it, which is a tiled Windows manager.
yeah.
You can.
Doesn't seem to play well with the dual monitor so far on this.
How are you finding the hardware component of the 76?
Pretty good. Yeah. Well, the one problem is you can't run dual monitor with the Intel. You have to be in the NVIDIA driver all the time, which means that I just leave it in there in NVIDIA mode. To swap between NVIDIA and the Intel drive, you have to reboot, which is a bit shit. Yeah. So I had a Sony before this, and it was also dual. It had a dedicated NVIDIA card and an Intel, and you could actually tell certain applications to run with the NVIDIA and stay in the Intel mode for
35.
battery
Goodness me,
life. So that
how
was
is that
good.
long?
I like that.
Just seeing what will fit.
You can't do it like that, but I'm mainly at work or at home near a PowerPoint, so
33.
it's a really big problem.
Jesus.
It's fast,
Yeah?
really fast. It's a hex core.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, full universe with hyper-threading, and it's got the M2 drive in there, PCI Express drive.
X-core Intel.
Yeah.
So that
So-
is
8 cores, 16 threads?
31. Oh,
No,
right.
it's 6 cores.
Oh,
Okay.
6 cores.
Yeah, with threads. So that's good.
Okay, and the other thing we want is
Yeah, one of their laptop cores, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got their main series CPUs, and they've got the separate series for these things.
Yeah.
So trying to reduce power and whatever, squeeze out whatever performance, lower clock cycles.
Michael, you said you sent it to the mailing list?
Yeah. Didn't get it?
I've got it on the mailing list or IRC.
You haven't got on it either.
Either.
Right.
Which, again, could be me.
That could.
You haven't got it. You did. It's me.
Okay.
So just as a follow-up, this FSD thing comes up and then can't find a disk because when it was configured in the VM, it was WD0. Now it's hanging out here on a USB device. It's now SDA something. So it just goes, no idea. So anyway.
Do you feel it? Sorry, I keep interrupting it.
Right.
Do you feel it would work then, or do you feel like it would be better to get a laptop?
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah, I'll probably maybe a Dell XPS model would be
That's what we
good.
Yeah, I don't want that, yes.
Yeah.
So
It's like a
give me
half
a yell when you're
desktop,
ready to go, and I'll
Really good support. They're
make a
great
hand
support.
movement and
Really?
get it
Yeah,
right.
we've got
Okay.
we've got on the chat with them. They try to.
QLS and
What did you ask them?
I had some problem with suspend, funny enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they fixed it. And had some error coming up in the kernel, and they told me what flag to put on.
That's cool.
Oh,
It
okay.
fixed it, so really quick. I can't complain
I
about it.
don't know. What's the?
That's a System 76, so it's.
We build
American.
Linux laptops.
Sorry?
They only build Linux laptops. They only build, yeah. But it's from America, so yeah, it costs a lot to get it over here.
they're reasonably new.
Yeah.
They seem pretty big in terms of.
I don't know, maybe it's just because we're really into Linux, so they seem really big.
No, I mean, for Linux reseller.
They started to make their own hardware, and they use the core boot open
Oh
source
yeah, so it's got
BIOS.
core boot on it.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So they're pushing the boundaries a little bit, and they're trying to make it more open.
Oh yeah.
So I like that aspect of it.
There's a similar project for
Oh well, yeah, I guess we
phones,
can go
but
now.
it's
Yeah.
not commercial.
Yep, ready to go.
Even
Libre.
Yeah.
Got my
Yeah.
eyes on it.
Wait till they've
Or the Pine 64.
Oh yeah.
They're doing it fine.
That Libre, I heard there was an article that was explaining some worrying issues, tension within companies.
No, I don't want to know.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm hoping they don't
Say
employ it
it.
either, because I was like, I only just recently bought a Pixel phone, and it was their latest one was a few months away. They're now shipping, but it was just a bit too long to wait.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll stick around for about 3 years, and then maybe I'll get one.
Yeah. I got a Firefox phone back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And then I got a Yola. So now I'm like, just wait to see.
Give it a bit of
Yeah,
time,
exactly.
you know?
Well,
No, buy a cheap Chinese one and just throw it away.
I was on Samsung for a good 5-6 years, and I was like, okay, try something.
Right, well, we might get started with Duncan's talk. He's going to update us a bit on his net filter.
yeah. Net filter. Okay. Since I saw you last, the log file's improved a little bit. It's actually dated now, so you can see when stuff happens. So I've got the one that the URL I use. This is a wired article about the Pope, and
That's a weird title.
yes. Let's start that up. Alright, so we can collapse that. Don't know where that comes from. We're getting heaps of stuff coming through here. All diverted ones are they're being blocked effectively. So it's asking for doesn't it the config file looking so the config now you can now supply wildcards. You can apply just the last two bits of the URL, and it always tries. It doesn't matter what order you supply them in. It always tries an exact match on each entry. And sorry, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just show you it. All right. Okay. Slash etc. slash NFQ. Right. This is a list of sites that this. Now, of course, a lot of people weren't here last month. Sorry. What this is doing, I might stop this for a second because you can always start it again. What this is doing, This is a system for blocking URLs, mostly advertisements, but it runs on the router or it can run on a device. And what it does, and the way it works, is this diagram shows you, hopefully.
What route can you run it on?
Oh, well, it has to be a Linux system. It's dependent on Linux code. But other than that, any Linux system.
With the current kernel.
With a fairly recent kernel, yeah, reasonably modern kernel. Doesn't be that modern. What does have to be bang up to date is the libraries, because they've got bug fixes that I put in. They've only just been accepted, so you have to get the brand newest libraries. But the kernel doesn't have to be that particularly new. Anything after about 3.5 is okay. We've got it, yes. This is a diagram of how it works. Now, you've got a DNS, you've got a special DNS, it's a forwarding only DNS, it does next to nothing. All it knows about is a couple of sites that I've called bogus.net. In fact, it knows about one site. I've got to change the name because bogus.net is a real site on the internet. So I'm going to call it bogus2.net at some point, I'm going to change it. But anyway, there's this site called, at the moment, bogus.net. And what happens is you've got your browser here, and your browser is looking up advert.some.com. It's some kind of advertising serving site. And in the middle here you've got NF tables running in the kernel. You've got NFT. And NF tables has a rule that when it sees a domain UDP with the destination port of domain, so it's a query, it queues it to this the NFQ user space program. NFQ looks at the query. Now, if the query is for a site that's in this list of anything motaz.com or actually cat is better, isn't it? Sorry, about this, not diagram. Get this right eventually. KCADC. Here we are. Here's our list of sites that it's going to block, and if it's pxads.linkedin.com, it's going to divert that to sys1.bogus.net. There are other systems, there's sys8.bogus.net. Now, the number at the end of the system name is how many different addresses DNS is going to return. So sys8 returns 8 addresses, which is what the replace site used to do. This is to make it harder for software to tell it's been diddled. It's getting the right number of addresses. I've also today thought of something. I'm going to actually have more than one. I'm going on bogus3.net. Bogus.net, what happens is, back to the diagram. What happens is, all right, we've got something, NFQ mangles the query, instead of querying for advert.some.com, it's going to query for sys1.bogus.net. Sysx.bogus. Sends a query off to the DNS. This DNS knows about, it's actually the authoritative server for bogus.net. It knows about bogus.net, it gives an answer. The answer comes back, NF tables in the kernel sees it's got a source port of domain, so it enqueues it back to NFQ again. NFQ's kept a record of, now luckily DNS requests always come with an ID, a little 16-bit ID, and unfortunately get host by name doesn't use that because I found out get host by name doesn't wait for the ID to come back that it sent, it waits for the answer to the question to come back that it sent. So that's why NFQ on the way back has to look up its saved queries that have gone off to the DNS and change the name back to what it was in the query, before it gets back to the browser. So the browser gets back an answer saying advert.sum.com is at some address, which is actually a bogus address. Now it tries to connect to ABOT, but there's a rule in NF tables to reject these with admin prohibited, as it happens. And so very quickly this thing gets a rejection, which saves on downloading time, because it's not like there's another product that I'll come to in a while that does actually puts in a DNS and it just gives back a name there's no route to host, but then that has to actually go into go out until it gets knocked back. This gets knocked back straight away by NetFilter, and so the browser carries on. As long as the home page of the URL isn't actually an ad site, and it is for some, so they don't work. But as long as if it's an ad that's trying to get it, can't get it, they just carry on, and they don't object yet. They don't realize they're being done, so they just carry on. This little C-top was a little toy I had. This is what I first looked at was what's the names of all the hosts that are connected, and it wasn't very interesting. They were mostly on AWS or something else. There were very few actually recognizable hosts, and you can't block them because an AWS site might be hosting it'd be hosting 1,000 different network services, and some of them around and so on. So that was kind of a dead end. You can't block them.
When they're running an ad, they just spin up a new address on AWS.
Well, there are lots of HTTP servers on any one AWS box. I mean, there's one server, but it's serving lots of different things. Yes, you go there and it could be where you end up for lots of different domain name service queries that you start with. So it may be some ad server to someone. It's my special, really good host to someone else, and it's actually the same AWS box. So the AWS box can, lots of people get into it. So you can't just turn them off because you don't know what they're doing. And this little thing here had a like a top display of the last however many there was room for URLs that have been there.
And that's a way of adding to your list of systems you want to block.
Not very helpful. What's helpful for the systems you want to block? You want to block the name it asks for, not what it gets to. And what's helpful to block is the log file from NFQ, because NFQ is all the time saying what is accepted and what is diverted. That was a little display I had up to start with, and that will have, yes, oh yeah, here it is. We can look at it again. Now, if we go down to the bottom and go back to the wired connection. Question mark. So when I open that wired page, that's the first DNS lookup. Oh, it's not the first lookup, is it? Might not be the first lookup. Let's have a look. 2044 media. 2044 is that. Oh yes, there's the first one. The previous one's miles back. Yes, a bit. Yes, it's in. That's 2040, and this is 4 minutes later. Yeah, that's the first one for this session. Oh, it's gone down black. Oh yeah, we just don't worry about that. Maybe we can block that. Then these are the things that have been accepted. So it's gone to news.com.au, which is probably a good thing to do, and that's the weather. It's gone there. And Mozilla, for some reason, it's gone to a lot of things. Some of these may be, I mean, why it's gone to twitter.com because I don't use Twitter. Maybe I could block that. I don't want to block IANA.org, I don't think. So gotta look these up in Google and find out which of them are good and which are bad. Support, that looks used up probably all right. Here's one that's diverted. I've looked this up in Google and decided it's an evil site. It's to do with marketing and stuff. So it's that DV says I've diverted that, and the accept ones it only showed them on the way out to minimize the size of the log file. But diverted one it shows reinstated when it comes back in. That's when it's changed that to some bogus.net thing, and when it's come back it changed it back to a scorecard search, and then it's accepted assets stop. Not sure what that one is. I haven't googled it yet to see if it's a candidate for getting rid of. Might be. Then it's diverted ads Twitter, and it's accepted a few more still. Don't know what they are. Again, I haven't had time to look. Google Analytics is a bad one. Get through that. Now, that's actually Condé Nast is a big company that owns lots of magazines, including Wired, but doesn't seem to do any harm to block it. I don't think it provides anything useful, so we block it. Don't like the look of that one, but it's not blocked yet, and so on. And this is all in the same second or same few seconds after I connected. Little gap there, 5 second gap for some reason. Then there's all this lot. Possibly I scrolled it slightly. I don't think I did. You've got to be aware of what you do with the GUI, because it can produce heaps of, or on a big screen you can watch this in real time. You can watch them side by side. You can see stuff as you do things. Yeah, that ad system gets chucked, and One Trust gets chucked, and so on. So yeah, the thing is, there's very little modified software in this. This is running standard DNS, standard DHCP, NF tables with a queue to a little application, and that's the whole sum of it. And because this is a per device configuration, this is not running on a router particularly. It's just got a little DNS server and localhost, and it's what I call per device configuration. This is what you put this on your mobile phone or whatever. Now, what I've done since last time is I've looked carefully at DHCP documentation, and it does tell you a lot about DHCP hook scripts. I'll get rid of this in a second and put man of that. See what I mean? DHCP, I think that's it. This is the thing that polls for a dynamic address when you at boot time. Hooking into events. This is it. It runs this run hooks thing, and what that does, which might be. No, you have to look at it. There's a thing called enter scripts. Jeez, I don't think it's actually in the man page. You have to look at the. No, it's not. Okay, we'll get back to what I was looking at. All right, so there we are. We'll have a look at this thing. it's got a bit of setup at the front. It's got a whole lot of functions. I think this is. I'm sure this is. I'll grab through the code for this. I think there's must have been the C also. Let's have a look. Let's look at the C also for this. FN match. Result.com. That's it. What this does, if you put a file in slash etc called, this is all excellent stuff, but it clears the environment. It's very neat. Yes, this is the one. If that file exists, that gets run first. And you can use that to override normal action. The normal action of this would be to change resolve.conf to use a DNS server that DHCP gave you.
So before they get an IP, it runs that.
No, it actually runs this at the time, bind time. It runs it every time, but it's very. The whole thing works on environment. That's why it's important it clears almost the entire environment. Then it stuffs lots of stuff into the environment. Well, lots of interesting stuff. like the reason you've been called, or I think I've kept, yes, I've got it on this system. I've kept a sample because when I was debugging this script, I was making it shovel the stuff into all this output into a file, and I've kept the file, I think. So just look.
This is used by VPNs, isn't it?
No, VPNs don't enter into this. There's nothing to do with VPNs.
Don't they? But VPNs typically will change your DNS resolution. So does it use this, or it uses something else?
No, this is nothing to do with VPNs. This is just getting a dynamic address. Like in the pub here, we got a DHCP address.
But if you've got a VPN, typically it'll create an interface for that VPN.
Oh, it creates a new interface. Yes, it does. Yeah. And on that new interface would probably be a different DHCP resolver.
Yeah.
But that is not. That's not what this is about.
Right.
Yes, I do have it. This is what happens. This is actually the first one is. This was a reboot. This has taken over a reboot. And as the system shuts down, the interface is stopped. Reason equals stop. But I don't look at that. The things that are interesting to me are IF up and IF down. If either of them are true, normally it would do something with resolve.conf. So when it's IF down equals true, into the DHCP connection is going down, and what I want to do is the whole point of this script is that leave resolve.conf alone, but change named.conf, the bind config file, and change what the forwarders are, so that the forwarders are whatever DHCP told you. Because bind is always going to run. Bind named on the local host is always going to run. That is resolve.conf points there. It says the name server is on the local host, but the name server on the local host is only a forwarder. Apart from bogus.net, it serves bogus.net and it forwards everything else. So its forwarder has to be whatever DHCP is given us. So when it's a stop, then we want to go back to the IF conf that we have when it's a wired system only, because this can be at home. It's a wired system. It's not using the wireless LAN. or it might not be using it, but they prefer to use a wired LAN. So if it's stopping, well, you get all this interesting stuff. This is all the environment. This is the environment here, right down till so it's got set-x. So it's first of all showing the environment, and then it's showing the commands it does. So first of all, it's saying if named.conf is in your list of things not to. See, DHCP/CD takes a list of hooks that you don't use. So you can tell it not to update NTPD, not NTP.conf, and not to update resolve.conf, not to update other confs. And so this is added in. This says if you've told it not to update named.conf, then get out of here. But that was false. So first of all, we've noticed that IF down is, see, that true actually is from the, it hasn't got a set -x at the same time, so you can't see what the command was. You can just, it's actually tested was IF down was true. So it said, well, we'll put IF down false so that we don't modify resolve.conf. And then I've made this little function called nfq restore named. So this goes back to named.conf that's supposed to be there when there's no wireless, no dynamic address. And the way it does it is if we've created a named.conf.orig, we're going to use that, but we haven't. So have we got it under revision control? Yes, we have. Is it different from what's in revision control? No, it's not. So we're finished. The next few, so this thing, the next few blocks are, this script's been called every time anything happens. So lots of times you don't actually want to do anything, nothing to do. So here it's called again, and it's called for, we're finished, we're stopped. IF down equals true. Oh, IF down is true again. Oh well. So it goes through this stuff again, and of course it's not going to do anything because we made sure the named.conf was right last time. So that's actually all that happens. 1347. Yeah, this is up after the reboot. See, 3 minutes later. After the reboot, it's coming up again, and it's noticed the carrier's up. Let's bring it. Nothing. They're both false. IF up and IF down are false. So there's nothing for us to do. Except it always does this little thing. Am I supposed to touch named.conf? No, I'm not. That's probably. I could be smarter with that. I could not even bother doing that if there's something to do, but I didn't do that. So, all right. Next thing that calls for, we've got carrier. That's still not very interesting. IF up and IF down are both still false. Nothing to do. Now what's the reason this time? Bound. So we've bound an address. We've got a new lease time, and we've got a new server identifier. We've got a new DHCP. This is the interesting bit. We've got a new server, DHCP server, and we've got a new router, which we don't care about. That because it updates the routes itself. We haven't turned it off. So we have work to do here, because I think I can see. I think I will see IF up equals true. Yes, IF up equals true. That means normally the resolve.conf will get stuff done to it because IF up is true. So here we go. We just make sure that we're supposed to do stuff. We turn IF up false so that resolve.conf won't get touched. And then I've got this function called nfq manage named.conf. And that's checking the new IP addresses variable that we saw up here, new domain name servers that we saw up here. saying it's not null, that's good. So in that case, we're going to go ahead and modify. We're going to modify etc.name.conf. First of all, we're going to go to the first. Sorry, I'm using the Q editor here. That's my editor. I'm not very good with sed, so I just use it. But in this case, it is it's changing the forwarders line to be empty, and then it will start to add the DNS addresses. For this debugging, it was actually normally when right now it wouldn't be putting this stuff out because I've told it to be quiet. But when I was debugging it, I was telling it to be noisy. So new domain servers, which is just one of, and it's going to. That's actually its little command it's going to do, and what it looks like is. It finds forwarders and it puts that number in. So it's put that number in the forwarders line, put that DNS that's been told in the forwarders line, and there aren't any more. There's only one of them. Now, this is something that took me half the morning to debug. I hadn't tried this before. On this used to work fine when I just tried it from the command line, but then it had my path in it and it had all manner of stuff. And so, in the boot, first of all, this is run before bind has got started, and I was just blasting out a bind restart, and so we ended up with two named Ds. So we finished. So it checks to see. Is bind running? So that's service command. This is all part of the environment. This file is dotted, and it's got the benefit of a huge swathe of command functions that have been defined earlier on by NFQ runbooks. So one of the functions is service command, and that will look and decide whether you're running port rings or what you're doing. System D, yeah, System D. Or it decides what you're doing, and it knows about Slackware even, and it knows for this system to do a bind we do this or whatever. So I say service command, whatever the way you do it is, do a bind on do a status on bind. That's false because bind's not running. Okay, we have nothing else to do. We're finished. When bind starts up, it will see the new named conf and just use it, and that will be fine. Now it gets called again because we haven't quite finished it. Oh, there's a stop. We're back into stop again. I must have stopped it again. So it's run for a while. Yeah, that's 1355. And when was the previous one? Oh yeah, 5 minutes later. See, 5 minutes later, I've stopped it again. And
so is this the log file from DH client? Where's this?
Well, what makes this? What makes this is when these lines weren't commented in.
The interval gap.
Yes. Down the bottom. Oh no, sorry, not that one. Sorry. Control G. No. Control R. ENT. E. And then we go back. Control R. Oh, right. Never mind. Oh, that's fine enough. We can use this. Oops.
DHCPCD off, did you?
That should work. Yes. Right. If we go down the bottom of this, that stuff is uncommented to get that log. That's how you do it.
So if you want to debug your DNS from using DHCP or your resolve.conf, you can uncomment that and see what it's doing.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So that would actually be useful for VPN stuff as well.
Oh, any script at all, any system script, yes, yeah. Yeah, any system script, if you don't know what it's doing, something like this will
because the VPN will
look it
often set, you know, a new resolve.conf.
Mm-hmm.
So this would help you to.
Oh yeah,
what it was
good to
doing.
see what's going on. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the VPN will have its own resolve.conf for sure. It's a different network. Yes. Yeah, that was took me forever to get this going because the Q command seemed to work because it didn't give an error, but it didn't do anything. So until I give it an absolute path name, then it started working. So I don't know what it was getting Q from because it wasn't in its path. There must be a Q in there's a massive number of functions defined in that thing. That's how you can just do things like system command and so on. That actually expands to heaps of stuff. Massive.
But to go back,
yeah.
You have to run a named locally.
Yeah, you do. You have to run named locally.
Yeah.
And that is forwarding everything except the bogus stuff.
Have you looked at DNS Martin as a
I haven't.
name server?
Is that a name server?
Yeah. That's what you mentioned last month, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It wouldn't matter what name server you ran.
No.
It wouldn't matter on the site.
DNS file system you want to control, for example, the file it works for when you combine with DNS script proxy.
I mean, it's probably simpler than bind, but I already knew how to configure bind from the router, so I just used it. Yeah, I just used what I knew, so why not?
Yeah. How much faster does your browser run as a result of stopping all of the hoo-ha with ads and stuff?
Well, it must be somewhat faster because I remember on some sites just watching, why does it want to do this? Why does it want to do that? Just seeing it tick over at the bottom, and that's all gone.
Yeah.
So it must be faster. But what I like is it hasn't got stupid ads on each side either.
Yeah. Well, you wait for those things to download.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Well, you don't anymore with this. And I thought this was a whole new thing, but it's not. Well, this particular approach is, but what can I do here? Yes, I can do that. Enough of the plot. There is this thing. Now this thing doesn't.
The pie hole.
Pie hole.
Oh, I heard about this the other day.
Yeah, the pie hole.
Yes.
I didn't look into it though.
This has similar capabilities, but it's a lot bigger because it's.
Gives you graphs and everything. Yes.
But yes, but it's supplying its own DNS, and it's not just. It's not just a little. However big that program is, it's only a few hundred lines at an FQ program. That's all. There's that and the extra config stuff to do. Yeah. This is, and you think that's big? Oh, this is really comprehensive. I got home installed on everything. It is megabytes of JavaScript.
Oh,
No, that's what I was trying to block.
Yeah, well, JavaScript's just a language. You don't block JavaScript. You block the sites. You know, JavaScript's just a language. It's got some nice features and some not so nice. I rather like the universal constants. Everyone else hates them, but I think.
Yeah, you like bars?
What?
The global variables.
Global variables. Yeah, I'm used to that from way back.
Accidental variables.
We used to have an assembler to compile the operating system, and everything in the lower half of the alphabet was global, and everything in the upper half was local. So this is just not got the local bits, but yeah, wonderful. You know, none of this modern stuff. You know, only you can see this bit. Everyone can see everything. That's great.
That's the way.
Everyone's trustworthy.
Transparency.
Everyone can see everything, and everything is mutable.
Yes. So, and how it works gives you, well, it just, how it works just,
How it works.
here you
The
are,
code.
clone
Yeah,
this
right.
one.
Is that it works?
So we were looking at a thing called response policy zones at one point, and I'm wondering whether that might, like, so you said you were using Bind. Which version of Bind?
Bind 9,
Bind 9.
yes.
Because Bind,
Used to be my homepage, Bind 9 Administrator's Manual.
the Bind 10,
Yes.
Sure, it might be that one. Basically has, there's response policy zones where you define a zone, and it essentially does a similar sort of hijack of the outgoing query.
Mm.
But the thing that I was sort of thinking about with response policy zones is that it gives you the ability also to subscribe to a feed like Spamhouse or an RBL list, but for zones.
Oh, yes.
And because I think that, I mean, that's the nice thing about the other one is that they do have that sort of crowd ability to pull down extra data as well.
Well,
if you could package that up, it'll break the internet.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Or the internet funding model. Anyway.
Oh yes, it's all designed to destroy the business model of the internet as we know it. That's
You
for
can
sure.
bring in lists in Pi-hole.
Well, Pi-hole has lists, and and these guys have lists too. I've seen it somewhere on the site. You can get stacks. You get lists for families and lists for other stuff, whatever you want to do. It's huge, absolutely enormous. And it says it can also intercept encrypted DNS queries over HTTP and stuff. Don't ask me how it does that, but it says it can do it.
Is this AdGuard Home? Is this a commercial project?
No, it's open source.
Okay.
This is open source. Yeah.
Certainly looks like you pay someone for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the website is just very good.
I have a phone number, so
Yeah. So coming.
So yeah, that's amazing. And they're both examples of DNS sinkholes, which is what mine is too, in that the DNS is giving you an address which is a black hole. But I just do it a little bit differently from what these guys do, and with a lot less code.
Yeah.
So can I ask, why did you use a .net? Why not use something that doesn't really exist on the internet?
I'm sorry?
For your bogus .net. Why use something that could potentially exist on the internet?
Well, I didn't. I just thought it was a good name, you know. I didn't think it would exist on the internet, and I found out it did. I thought, oh well, I better change it then.
Fair.
I didn't mean to use something on the net. I looked afterwards, and
But why .net at all? Like, why not?
What, dot boat? What,
Yeah, why not
dot
bogus?
Dot bogus, bogus.
well, I just didn't think laterally enough, I suppose. You know, I just thought, oh, bogus.net sounds good. You know, I'll just use that.
Bogus.io.
It really doesn't matter because the DNS
I'm
comes
sure
to
the
be-
hipsters have got it.
You can call it what you like, so you can just whatever you say it is. It is.
What is on bogus.net?
Oh, a thing called bearclaw.bogus.net, and I can actually. I haven't got a root window
I
yet.
feel like
I'll get a root-
bogus.net is one of those domains that just has a big banner out on it and says this domain is up for sale.
Yeah.
No, it just seems to be an ordinary bunch of sites, you know.
Really?
Bogus.net has 2 words.
An index.
Bogus.
And index. That's it.
But if you dig for bearclaw.bogus.net, you get a real address.
So if you block this, like, this everyone will just great comment.
I know. That's why I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it to bogus too.
Shit.
I'm going to change the name, but now I know about it.
Well, my ETF own example.org, so
But the other thing is that this is a sinkhole. So
Effectively, yes.
you can pump into that list any site you want to block.
Yes. But there's something else that I just thought of doing today and I haven't done it yet. I can have a second network because the bogus.net's well, it doesn't matter what they are but you want them to be local addresses so you don't actually block off real ones. But they're never going to get anywhere because the firewall is always going to reject them. But I'm going to have a second network where it says that the port is not available, so that I can lie differently to different sites that way. Some sites get told admin blocked, some sites get told connection refused. Just means, yeah, we got there, but it's not working just now. That might be, that's just to confuse the inevitable arms race that's going to take place when these things take off.
What about supplying a different image? If it's asking for an image?
Well, it's just, NF tables is rejecting it. So it doesn't matter what it asks for, it's just getting knocked back. It's getting knocked back, but it could get knocked back for a different reason. It could get knocked back for port not assigned instead of admin prohibited. Admin prohibited just means you're in a hotel room somewhere and the firewall blocked it.
But you could redirect it to somewhere else.
Oh, who could?
You could.
Oh, NF tables. No. That's not something NF tables. Oh, you'd have to actually intercept. You're looking to queue the packets that belong to that subnet. Instead of dropping them, you could queue them and you could mangle them to go somewhere else. Yes, you could.
You could.
You could do that. Yeah, if you had a server handy that knew what to do, but I don't know. Sounds like a lot of work. Because they might, who knows what they're doing GET requests. They're probably doing GET requests for particular stuff, and you have to know what they're getting and supply something wrong.
If it's an image, you could supply a blank image instead. But at least it's an image.
Yes, you could. Yes, but you have to be the right size and who knows, all that stuff.
Scale, just send it back in 1 by 1 image.
Yeah, and then it could scale it, stretch it, who cares?
You see,
stretch blank image.
And you can run that locally on the same thing as running.
If I go to I go to Bureau of Met, which is a very worthwhile site, but they do like their ads. Oh, can you see it in there? Maybe I haven't got it.
Yeah, that one. Oh,
there we are.
Oh.
See what they do. Oh, that's left over from LCA 2 years ago. You see there? That's advertisement. It's a big empty hole. If you block advertising.bomb.gov.au, which does actually ask for. If you block that, you get a great big message in here. Oh, we can't find this site, so you don't want to block that one. That one just draws the thing, puts a little advertisement thing in the bottom while it's waiting for the real one, and then the real one never comes.
I've seen websites where they have a banner that's built into the web page, and then they layer on top the ad.
Yeah.
So if you take the ad away, the banner says has a big sad face.
Screw you. Duncan, the thing I was thinking of, if you go to a site.
DNSRPZ. Is that the dot or the comma? Dot. No, I haven't blocked that.
Find out. I had an info once. They were very cheap.
Yeah.
Long time ago. $3 for
Should have bought them all.
So the point is to resources, taking back DNS log engine is the first link down the bottom. Yep. So that first link there basically talks about why you might want that thing. I think the only difference between that and yours is that this uses the normal bind
Mm.
So it's got that sort of mechanism baked in because it's just another zone to bind. It's just slightly differently configured, but otherwise you can do NS update and a whole lot of other stuff.
Oh, so what is this telling us?
How many of these things are going to be redundant when DNS over HTTP occurs?
Well, that's what AdGuard Home claims to be able to guard against already. Over HTTPS it says it can do it. I don't know how.
You just install your own certificate.
Yeah, if you've got NS,
And do mandate open yourself. You pay me ass, but it work.
That means that you have got to do in the clear DNS request to start with, and then the thing you talk to is the DNS from then on, and it's encrypted. Yeah, well, we're going to go to that sort of length. Oh, AdGuard Home reckons it can get them, and it is a very big system.
It looks like Pi-hole uses DNS mask under the hood.
Yes, it does.
Sorry.
Pi-hole. Yeah.
Oh yes, Pi-hole uses it, and it says it installs DHCP D5 and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, probably does. Any name server will do. Just that I'm familiar with bind, so you stuck it in. It's probably overkill, but it doesn't matter.
Question for you. Have you thought about using the Pi-hole lists with your setup? Because they
I only saw Pi-hole yesterday for the first time. And I thought, well, yeah, these lists could be really handy because, yeah, no problem. Could use them. Can't think of an awful lot else to tell you about. The documentation for libnet, all this stuff is pretty woeful. What's happened is that at some point, see this thing, this is the front page, and if you look closely, where was it now? Oh dear. Well, first of all, this is the main page. Yes. All right. Doesn't even mention libmnl there. This is just a straight riff-off from the old IPQ man page, and IPQ gone. The IP tables used to have an IPQ system, but that was actually pooled at Linux 3.5. This is just a riff-off of that man page. See, hasn't even got libnet filter Q. It talks about IP tables rules when this is NFT. Come on, guys, you know. So this needs a bit of updating, and Pablo's actually engaged me to try and make this whole lot a bit more relevant and modern. So I'm working on that as time permits. Well, okay, I really think that must be about it. So, thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you. Well, if anyone has any talks they want to give at future meetings, send a message to the list or to me, and we can sort you out. Yeah, thanks, Tom. Thanks for